Hi everyone, this is Dawn Swan and I'm a licensed professional counselor in Denver, Colorado. I'm really excited to be back with you for more in the series Relationship Tips from the Pros. I've been sharing with you about the work of Doctors John and Julie Gottman. They are two of the leading couples researchers in the United States, and they've been studying couples for over 30 years, compiling their data of what makes healthy relationships and not so healthy relationships. So I'm really excited to be back with you guys to continue this series. In the first 3 videos that I shared with you a while back, we started looking at the model that the Gottmans created with their data. This model is called the Sound Relationship House. And in the first 3 videos, I went over with you these bottom 3 levels of the house: building love maps, sharing fondness and admiration, and turning towards instead of away. And if you missed those 3 videos, they're still up and available on my Facebook page. So I encourage you to go back and you can catch up and then jump in with us for this next segment in the series. But basically, these bottom 3 levels of the house are the foundational levels. Each one represents a positive, loving behavior that the masters, the couples who were thriving and growing in their relationship, practiced on a regular basis to keep their relationship strong. Many of you may have heard the metaphor used to describe relationships of a bank account. Basically, that just like a bank account, you need to put deposits in so that when the time comes and you need to make a withdrawal, you have something to draw from. And relationships are very much like that. Like, we need to be investing in positive ways, giving behaviors, loving behaviors to our partner, and those are like putting deposits in the relationship account so that when we hit hard times or we have conflict, which is inevitable in every relationship, that when those times come and we need to make a withdrawal, we need to ask for something from our partner, or we need to discuss something difficult, those are like the withdrawals from the bank account. So if we're not putting investments in those positive behaviors and positive times, we're not going to have much to draw from when the challenges come. So with the Sound Relationship House, those first 3 levels that I spoke to you about, those behaviors are like the deposits. And what the Gottmans found in their research is that when couples were regularly practicing those 3 behaviors, putting regular deposits into the relationship, what they found is they created an overall positive perspective in the relationship. And basically what that means is there was a general undercurrent of positivity and trust and just general goodwill flowing underground in the relationship. And that positive perspective made all the difference in helping the couples to navigate difficult times and to do well and stay connected with each other. So that's what the positive perspective is. And once you have those bottom foundational levels of the house working well, and those levels are strong, it's much easier to navigate this next level that we're going to talk about, which is managing conflict. Now, I work with couples primarily in my counseling practice, and I have to tell you that probably about 90% of the couples that I have the privilege to work with, when they come to meet me for the first time, I have them fill out a sheet of paper with some basic information, and one of the questions is, what's the problem, and what do you want to get out of this counseling process? I guarantee you 90% or more say some version of, we can't communicate. We have terrible communication. I want to improve on our communication. Our communication stinks. I mean, some version of that appears with almost every couple. And so as we get into this next layer of the Gottman's research on managing conflict, a key part of managing conflict is having healthy communication patterns. Now, you guys have heard me say this before if you've watched previous videos, but the Gottmans, in their research, they divided their couples into 2 categories: the masters and the disasters. It's exactly what it sounds like. No real secret meaning here. The masters were the couples that were doing well, they were thriving, they were growing, they were staying connected, and the disasters were the couples that were barely holding it together or flat out just falling apart. Now, what they noticed when they looked really closely at the disasters and the way they communicated with each other, there were 4 negative communication patterns that the disasters had present a large majority of the time. And the Gottmans identified these 4 specific communication styles, and they actually came up with a term for those 4 behaviors. They call them the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, because when you see these 4 communication behaviors present in a relationship, you know that the end is near unless something changes. It's leading to disaster. And so in this next portion of my video series, the relationship tips from the pros, we're going to be getting into every week. We're going to look at one of those 4 horsemen week by week. We're going to look at that negative behavior, what it looks like, how it shows up, and we're also going to look at the antidote, because the Gottmans are really great about not just telling us what's wrong and what's not working, but they put just as much or more energy into teaching us how to do the positive counter move or that antidote to that behavior. So I'm just going to give you a quick sneak peek of what we're going to be looking at in the next 4 videos and introduce you to the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. So here they are. And I know it's difficult to see this sheet. I'm going to upload this image to my Facebook page so you can see a picture that's more clear. But the first horseman of the apocalypse is criticism. The second is defensiveness. And what you'll see as we start to talk more about these, that criticism and defensiveness almost always go hand in hand. They're like the 1-2 punch of negative communication patterns. And it's super easy for all of us, myself included, to get caught up in that negative spiral of criticism, defensiveness, criticize, defend. And we get stuck in this loop and we can't get out. And that's what we're going to talk about, is how do you get out of that loop? How do you sidestep that pattern and create something new? So we've got criticism, defensiveness. The 4th is contempt, and we'll talk more in future weeks about exactly what contempt is and how that looks when it shows up in communication. It's not a word that we use really often in our culture today, so we'll dig into that a little bit more. And then the 4th horseman of the apocalypse is stonewalling. And we'll also talk about what that looks like and the different ways it can show up in communication. So I hope this has piqued your interest enough that you'll plan to return and join me for the next 4 videos. I plan to post 1 a week for the next 4 weeks, and then we'll get through that communication segment of the Gottman's research. So thanks for joining me. And please, if you know of anyone who could benefit from this, somebody, a friend or a family member, a coworker that you think might really enjoy this research, please send them a quick text or email or invite them on Facebook to like my page. And I would love for them to get the value of this information as well and use it in their relationship. So I look forward to being with you a few more weeks in the weeks to come. Take care, and I'll see you next time as we dig into criticism and its counter move, gentle startup. Thanks, guys.